Hi, welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant.
And this is Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Cake Maternity. Cake Maternity is a designer of comfortable, functional, and beautiful maternity and nursing bras. And other things, too. They have all kinds of stuff. And today's episode is also brought to you by Similarly breast pumps, from ultra tiny pumps as small as a sticky note to fully adjustable pumps with 85 setting combinations. You're in control of your pumping journey. We will hear more from our sponsors later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check our sponsor page. If you ever need anything, see if you can give them any of your business, because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, scroll down and enter your email address, and we'll send you episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we are on Patreon. Go to the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. At the top, there's a link. Click it, and you'll see we have 3 different tiers. We have badass, super badass, and ultra badass. And you can pick which one you're feeling. And there's different benefits to each one. And we would love to see you over there. And we're still hosting our ongoing giveaway. So take a screenshot of your review wherever you left it on any platform, whether it was words or stars or however you do it, and send it to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com along with your address, and we'll send you a goodie bag with thank you for nursing in public cards and podcast stickers, and it's super fun. And if you haven't gotten yours, please just send an email again, because I make mistakes, and
We're just
I'll
human.
admit it. So, but we do send them out. Dianne sends packages out every week. So if you didn't get yours, there was a mistake. So that means, so let us know. You're not bothering us. We want you to have it. So just email and say you haven't gotten yours.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Oh, yeah.
We'll send them anywhere. Send them anywhere.
We'll send them anywhere on the globe.
Yep.
And now Dianne has our review of the week.
I am obsessed with this podcast. I am almost 10 months into my first breastfeeding journey, and I feel like I've been given the right info to be my own advocate. From dealing with pediatricians to traveling with breast milk for the first time, this podcast equips you with the best knowledge. I find it so empowering. I listen most days while at work. I'd recommend this to any mom breastfeeding for the first time. I wish I knew this podcast when I first started breastfeeding my daughter. Well, congratulations to you on your 10 months journey, because that's fantastic to get that far. And hopefully you listened to that episode we just put out a couple weeks ago about the older babies. And I hope that was helpful, because you've probably experienced some of those things at this point. So thank you so much for putting that out there into the world. And today, talking about guilt. And this was a suggestion. We did an episode on guilt a long time ago. Long time ago. I don't even know how long it was. And a listener recently asked us to redo it because it had been a long time, and said that we needed to talk about it again because there's more guilt out there in the world.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
Yeah. I like to Google things just like randomly. And I found this thing on verywellmind.com, which is just, it's not like anything special. You don't have to go there for your information or anything. But I feel like guilt is just one of those things where like everybody can talk about it in their own way, and they're right because it's their own experience. Mm-hmm. And, you don't need to get reliable information about guilt. Guilt is just a thing that's out there. I mean, except that like you shouldn't feel it, or, I don't know, you're wrong for feeling it or whatever. It's just a feeling. It just happens. And with parenting, it's just like, ugh. So there's this Dr. Romanoff describes some characteristics of parent guilt. And I want to read the list because it's pretty good.
Oh, awesome.
Feeling like you're never fully in either parental mode or work mode. Work in and of itself as a parent has got to be so guilt-inducing. Going back to work, deciding if just deciding if you're going to go back to work or not, being at work, leaving for work.
I hear that so often from clients that say, like, I feel like I'm not a good employee and I'm not a good parent at the same time, not a good partner.
Yeah.
Because you've pulled in so many different directions that it just feels like you're just not, and that just is so guilt inducing.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you possibly have your whole brain into work mode?
No.
When you've left your baby at a daycare?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I mean, that's got to be really hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then feeling like you're always doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Always having a long to-do list, but feeling like you're only able to do the bare minimum to get by. Feeling as though you're juggling one too many things. Hello. Not being able to enjoy time with your children, stressing over work and the status of your company or career, not having any time for yourself, not being able to do any hobbies or activities you enjoy, experiencing anxiety or depression, having trouble sleeping or eating, feeling tired and stressed all the time, straining your relationships at home and work. And people who are at higher risk are new parents, single parents, and parents with fewer resources. So I would say maybe financially unstable, or people who experience, racism and, violence in their community or something like that. I'm pulling all this right out of my ass.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Not that part. Just the part that I added. I'm sorry. I have a cold and my head is like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not like fully here. Oh my God, I feel guilty. I'm not giving my full self to the podcast. So yeah, there's really like everything that you could possibly think of to feel guilty about. I feel like I feel like I feel less guilt than I used to.
Really?
Yeah. I think I felt intense guilt about absolutely everything when like Jack was born, being like a first-time parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's true. I think that's a more intense time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
because it's especially when it's your first baby, because you feel like everything you're doing is wrong. And you're just like, what is happening here?
Yeah. And you just have high anxiety about, I had such high anxiety about absolutely everything. So you're worrying about this, you're worrying about that, and then you feel guilty. I remember feeling guilty about worrying. Like I was worrying all the time, and then I was feeling guilty that I was worrying. I don't even know if it makes sense.
It does. Plus, it makes you like not connect well with your child too.
Totally. And then, yeah. And then you're looking at your phone, and then you feel guilty. And it's like, oh, I should be connecting with my kids all the time.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't look at my phone, or I shouldn't, I shouldn't have time to myself.
It really, you feel that guilt all the time. I mean, in my situation, like I was divorcing my kid's father when they were like 3. So the guilt that was brought, the guilt that I felt throughout their entire childhood, that I separated them from their own parent, was really hard all the time. And I still feel that. I still feel that guilt because they still are impacted by that disconnect from their father, which is not my fault that their father doesn't play a role in their life.
Right.
That's his fault, but I still feel bad about it. Like I just feel guilty about it. And I tell them that sometimes too. I'm like, I just feel bad about that. And my kids have anxiety. So I'm like, I feel bad. I must have done something, right? We just feel like we must have done something wrong.
Yeah.
Must have done something wrong to cause all of this trouble or all of these problems for my children. But I don't know what that thing is. So I'll just feel guilty about some ghost thing that is out there in my universe.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, how, it's just, and then I got the Catholic guilt on top of it. I got all the guilt coming at me from all the sides.
Yeah. I mean, and those are, I think anybody going through a divorce would feel bad, would feel guilty, or would feel something, especially with young children. And those are like, that's a really big thing. And guilt is so stupid because it can also just be like about I remember feeling so guilty about like letting my kids eat like junk food.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I feel like a lot of the guilt has gone away because I don't give a shit anymore. Yeah. Like watching TV or letting them, look at a screen sometimes, or
that's society,
they had
right?
Something sugary. Yeah.
That's like society and social media telling us that that's not supposed to happen. According to social media, we should be like sitting with our children 12 hours a day doing crafts. And that's just not a realistic thing. Sometimes.
Or sitting on the floor playing cars if you have little boys. And let me tell you, my least favorite thing in the world is sitting on the floor playing cars. Like, I don't know. I just don't want to do it. I'd rather go for a walk, go to a playground, like, I don't know, make some food together or something. But, they want to sit on the floor and play with their cars. Not anymore, but like when they were little.
When they were little, yeah, mine would do that too.
God, that was so not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then I would feel guilty all the time.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah. And then you see like things, social media and the internet is a big part of all of that. Because they have all this stuff, right? It's like, whatever, yelling at your kids will cause brain damage, or giving your kids goldfish is like the number one worst food to give your child. All this clickbaity like articles and stuff, which all you have to do is see a headline like that, and then you're screwed.
Right.
Then it's just like, oh my God, this is all. And meanwhile, your kid's sitting on the floor and all they want you to do is sit down and play with cars. Like, that's literally the only thing. And you're sitting here feeling guilty about like absolutely everything and all these impossible standards that don't matter.
They don't.
They really don't. But you can't tell a new parent that, or you can't tell parents that at all.
No, it's awful. And you feel like you're just damaging your child for the rest of their life. Yeah, I love goldfish, by the way. So hopefully they're not the worst food that you can give your child.
No, really, like goldfish are worse than like, I don't know, mozzarella sticks. Like something deep fried. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and judge food. It's so stupid.
It is. It's really dumb.
Oh crap. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. Well, it doesn't matter. I found something else. Like causes of mom guilt.
Oh.
Comparing yourself to others.
It's a good one because it happens all the time. I heard I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I have a Peloton, right?
Yes.
And so I ride my Peloton a couple mornings a week. And one of the instructors recently, he's really funny, but he is, like motivating a little bit. And he's like, you cannot compare yourself. Comparing yourself to others is like comparing the sun and the moon, and they all shine brightly for different reasons, or they both shine brightly for different reasons, which I thought was just really like a good analogy, because it is so hard to not compare yourself to others, especially when you're a parent and you're seeing all the perfection on social media. It is so hard not to compare yourself.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I think that's part of it too. Part of the problem with social media is that that's not true. We talked about this that last on the when you don't like breastfeeding with the social media posts. And I told a story about that hot and steamy. Oh, I forgot to put the picture on the website.
Oh, you'll have to put it up.
I don't know if anybody went to look, but I didn't put it there. Sorry. I'll put it there. Here, let me make a note. But I told everybody, like, that was, it's a beautiful shot, which, is cool, but it was horrible. The whole entire day was horrible. And it was like, social media does not tell the truth.
No.
A picture doesn't tell the truth. Because a picture is like what, point something seconds of time?
Yeah.
Like you could take a picture of this is how they do celebrities, right? Somebody has like somebody's standing with their partner and they're like not smiling really hugely. And so there's trouble in paradise for these two. And it's like, oh my God, you created a whole story around this.
Yeah. Around looking at a picture. And you'll see that too. Like people will post like family pictures and somebody will say, oh my God, look at how perfect you all look, so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. And like the parent will be like, yeah, you should have seen the meltdown right before this picture, Yeah. But you don't, that's not what you see. You don't see that.
No.
You see perfection and you go, why is it that I can't take a picture with my kids because somebody's screaming and crying every single time we try?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you feel guilty that you can't keep your kids happy for a stupid picture.
That's how I feel like when I used to try to cook with my kids. You see these like cooking with kids blogs and all that shit. And they have all these like perfect pictures of everybody's laughing and there's no giant mess and there's, and then I cook with my kids and I'm just like, I end up having a meltdown halfway through. And I'm like, everybody get out of the kitchen. This is not fun. This is horrible. This is the most stressful thing ever. It's not fun cooking with kids. I don't care what any blogger says. Their picture, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what did you do? What drug did you give your child to sit still during this?
Right. It's not.
I'm kidding. Somebody will be like, I can't believe you said that. But, yeah. No, it's a lie. Lies.
Well, it is. Should we take a break and then hear the rest of the list?
Sure. Okay. I wasn't even looking. All right. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Similry Breast Pumps. Similry Breast Pumps wants you to have control of your pumping journey. With a continuous focus on research and development and a team comprised of CLCs, Similry Breast Pumps strives to offer pumps for every lifestyle. From ultra tiny pumps as small as a sticky note to fully adjustable pumps with 85 setting combinations, you're in control of your pumping journey. With resources like virtual breast shield sizing consults in English and Spanish, and an exclusive Get the Right Fit program that offers a third set of breast shields for free, Similry gives you vital tools for a successful journey. A safe choice for everyone, all Similry pump parts and storage bags are phthalate and BPA free. Better yet, Similry breast pumps can be personalized with a fun pump skin decal. See their full pump family at similrybreastpumps.com. That's CIMILRE breastpumps.com and use code BADASS for 15% off of your purchase. Today's episode is also brought to you by Cake Maternity. Cake Maternity is a designer of comfortable, functional, and beautiful maternity and nursing bras. As mothers themselves, they understand that no two breastfeeding journeys are alike. They've spent over 15 years developing their range of styles, which include hands-free pumping bras, supportive nursing sports bras, and lace plunge nursing bras, to skin birthing bras, comfy sleep bras, and everything in between. They really do have every single bra. They're so beautiful. They also understand the changes our bodies go through during pregnancy and breastfeeding, which is why they cater 28 to 44 band sizes and A through L cup sizes. So regardless of your size, style, or whether you're breastfeeding, pumping, or both, Cake Maternity have done the hard work so you can focus on what's important, nourishing your baby. Shop their range of maternity and nursing bras, clothing, and accessories online at cakematernity.com. That's cake, C-A-K-E, like birthday cake, maternity.com, and use code BADASS15 for 15% off of your purchase. And today's sponsors and their promo codes can be found in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. Or you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check our sponsor page. And also over there, you'll find all of our other episodes and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
Okay, so let's hear what else is on the list.
All right.
Mom guilt.
Yeah. So, oh wait, okay. So comparing yourself to others, differing parenting styles.
Oh, like between you and your partner, or between like other parents?
Think other parents. I think other parents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess with your partner, that would be less guilt and more conflict. Because, if you have your own personal belief on what should be, unless you have a partner that's like, you feel like you should be sharing, the sleep space with your baby and your partner doesn't want to, and then you feel guilty because your baby's in another room or something.
Yeah, that's true.
But just hanging out with people who, there's going to be, there's a lot of, I feel like a lot of people have this reaction to like people who like with breastfeeding and bed sharing and all of these things that people do to keep their babies really close. I feel like sometimes people react in like this really weird way to it. They're like, oh, like you think you're better. They're like, oh, well, oh, you sleep with your baby? Where do you have sex? That whole ridiculous thing. But yeah, I mean, if you are just around people who have differing parenting styles, that could make you feel guilty. Of course. Feeling bored. You might feel guilty if you feel bored with your kids. Like how I feel when I'm sitting on the floor playing with cars.
Oh, yeah.
So boring and so guilt-inducing because of it. And it's just like part of that, like that, especially early on when you have babies and you're at home by yourself and you're kind of like craving adult interaction and you don't get it very much. And then kind of feeling guilty about being bored with your baby. Criticism from family members or your pediatrician certainly can make you feel guilty about how you're taking care of your child.
Yep. Yeah, especially coming out of a pediatrician's office. Sometimes that can really, really spark the guilt. Your baby isn't gaining well. You shouldn't be doing this. Make sure you're not doing that. Make sure there's no screen time. Like you could just feel so guilty coming out of a doctor's office.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about even like my own doctor appointments that have nothing to do with my kids or just personal ones. And it's like, sometimes that's guilt inducing. Oh, you shouldn't be eating this, or your cholesterol's too high, or this is happening, or, you should be taking these vitamins, and like, you feel guilty. Like, oh my God, I'm doing terrible things to myself.
Yeah.
According to my doctor.
Right. Yes. I remember going to the doctor or kind of earlier on in the pandemic, not super early because I don't think anybody was going anywhere, but like once we went to the doctor and the doctor was saying like talking about screen time or something. And I was like, oh yeah, we've been playing a lot of video games in our house. And he was like, that's not good for their brain. It's really not good for their brain. And I'm like, we're not allowed to go anywhere.
Right.
Like, what do you want them to do? And I love how kids playing video games is bad for kids, but kids going to school or being online at school for 8 hours a day in front of a computer is not bad.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Someone explain that to me. Make it make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Does not make sense.
Well, apparently in a 2020 study of parents with children who are overweight, mothers described the things that caused the most mom guilt. I don't really understand that sentence, but so apparently there was a study in 2020. Moms in the study said family members commonly make negative or judgmental comments and criticize their parenting. They described feelings of isolation, And mothers also said that their children's doctor contributes to guilt. They might feel judged and invalidated during the appointments. That's so messed up.
It's really hard.
And then work hours, which we talked about. I mean, that's like so intense and obvious to me. Parents feel guilty for taking their children to preschool or daycare because they naturally want to be with their, children. Other working parents might feel guilty for wanting to drop their children. Oh, yes. Wanting to have time away from your children or wanting to go to work can make you feel guilty too, of course. So you can't win.
No, you really can't, because it's like you want that adult interaction. You want to use your brain. Maybe you went to school for a long time for your career.
Yeah, like maybe you love your career.
Right. You might love your career. But going back to work, and then people are like, oh, you're leaving your baby? Oh.
Yeah.
Or you feel like, how could I leave my baby?
Yeah. Or like, why do I feel good when I leave my baby?
Right.
Why am I happy to leave my baby? Because you still love your baby. You still love coming home, and the reunion is just beautiful. But you enjoy leaving for the day and going to your job. And then you feel bad because you enjoy it. You feel bad because you enjoy something. God, it's so not fair.
A mess.
Okay, then striving to be perfect. Okay, that is like, I feel like that was a big turning point, is when I was like, there's no way to be perfect. All these things that we say are bad. I don't think there's a ton of research. Like smoking gives you lung cancer. I feel like we have really done so much research that we can say that that's pretty true.
Right.
Like smoking is going to eventually probably give you lung cancer. Like we know that. But there are very few things that we know with certainty like that. Like goldfish ruins your children. I don't know if we know that. I think a blogger wrote that.
I think that's made up.
I think they made that up so that they could have clicks on their website, and then it went around, and now everyone's like, oh my God, goldfish. Then we feel guilty, of course, about the regular things, about physical activity and whether we're eating healthy enough or whether we're getting enough sleep. Deciding between breastfeeding and formula feeding. That we know that's like.
That's on the list?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. I was reading something about that this morning, actually, in one of my books. And they were talking about how much that can cause guilt in a parent. And as long as a parent's making an informed decision, that's really what matters. But how much guilt can be involved there. And it's just like, or, how upset you can be with your provider if your provider doesn't give you the information that you need about whether or not you should, because a lot of times providers don't want to make a parent feel guilty. That's the thing. Providers don't want to say, you really should be breastfeeding.
Really?
Because that's guilt-inducing.
I feel like they love making you feel guilty.
They love making you feel guilty about other things. And that was what was in the book. It was really great because it was like, they don't, providers don't have a difficult time telling a parent, your kid needs to be in a car seat, or, you need to get immunizations, or, any of those other things. But when it comes to feeding, they don't want to make a parent feel guilty if they're formula feeding or, whatever choice they've made. They don't want to make that parent feel guilty, when in actuality, a parent really needs to have information to make an informed decision.
Right. I think that's where the guilt comes from, right? Because you made a decision you didn't know. And now it says, studies indicate that 67% of formula feeding parents feel guilty about not breastfeeding.
Yeah. That's
parents who supplement with formula also feel the need to explain themselves. However, parents who exclusively breastfeed also experience guilt. Their feelings involve not meeting other obligations because of their demands of a nursing schedule.
So really, it doesn't matter how you feed your baby.
Once
you can't
again
win. You're just going to feel that guilt somehow over it. And I do see that people make excuses for supplementing. And it's like, don't make excuses. Like, it's okay. like it's okay.
Yeah. Too much screen time. Parents often feel guilty if they think their child spends too much time in front of screens. One 2019 study shows that screen time has minimal effects on child well-being. So there you go.
I think what from what I have kind of seen is I think where the guilt lies is that a lot of time a parent will use a screen to give themselves a break.
That's what it's for.
Right, exactly.
Don't feel guilty about that. That's what it's
and
for.
Parents feel guilty about that because they feel like they should be sitting on the floor playing cards with their kid. But because they don't want to do that, or they have other things that they need to do that's calling them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They put a screen there.
Yes. I can see how, now I do remember feeling that guilt.
Yeah.
Being like, here, I have to do something. Just sit here in front of the screen for a little while. And then you just feel like shit.
Right.
But I still feel that way. My kids are 12 and 9 and they love video games. They'll fight me for it. But then I feel guilty letting them do it.
I know.
Even though they're like both pretty badass at it. And I think that they're learning things. I think that they, you have to make, I was, actually yesterday, Jack was playing this Star Wars Battlefront or whatever. You just it's very detailed. You're in there, in the game. And you're in there, how amazing they are. And you're, now there's games that we don't play. We don't play GTA. We don't play, Halo and some of these really realistic shooting games. I'm not comfortable with that. But Star Wars has always been kind of they shoot with lasers. It's always been a step away from reality. And so I was like, let me give this game a try. I beat the game. Jack was like, oh my God, how did you do that? I never get through it without at least dying a couple times. I didn't die. But I was in there and you have to watch 5 different things on the screen. You have to watch how much ammo you have left. You have to watch where the people are coming from on the little dial at the bottom. Then you have to aim. Then you have to watch, you have to push different buttons to throw grenades and stuff. This is not,
a lot of coordination.
Yeah, it's cool. Anyway.
Jeez. But yeah, you definitely feel a lot of guilt over it.
Feel so much.
There have been things that I've said to my kids about stuff, and they're like, why are you it's fine, Mom. And I'll be like, I know, but if I don't say that to you, I lose my mom card. If I don't tell you that you're not supposed to be on your phone all the time, I'm going to get, I just have to tell you that.
Yeah, they do this too. They'll bring home ice cream from the grocery store and they'll be like, can I have some ice cream? I'm like, okay. And then they're like, can I have some more ice cream? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'll be straight up, I'll be like, I don't know. It makes me feel guilty letting you have more ice cream, but I'm not sure that it makes any sense. I feel like you can have some more ice cream. And they just really look at me and they're like, so can I have some? I'm like, okay.
It's really awful how much guilt we feel over everything we do.
Yeah. So some things you might experience, spending a lot of time scrolling on most social media, trying to do it all, even when you're already totally overwhelmed, having negative self-talk that you're not good enough or something, low self-worth, negative coping methods, maybe you're, I don't know, drinking or too much, or anxiety, poor mental health, sleep disruptions. Yeah. And then there's all kinds of ways to help cope, which I can run through. Yeah. Again, this is just Google. You can Google stuff if you want, probably be a little bit different, but also probably a lot of the same stuff. And we can talk about this without Google, but it's not, I'm kind of interested sometimes in what's out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Reflect on your values. This is something that I do a lot. I'll be like, I don't really believe. Now I'll say, when we're on the topic of video games, if Jack plays video games from the morning until the evening, I see him exhausted. So I'll say, you need to give your brain a break. I truly believe that your brain needs a break from that activity, or maybe any activity. So I'll say that. But then, if I start to feel guilty about him playing at all, I'll be like, no, I have to remember that, like, I don't believe that playing video games at a reasonable amount is harmful. So I have to remind myself that that's something that I truly believe.
Mm-hmm.
Prioritize self-care, even though that's one of the ones that's guilt-inducing.
Yes.
Still try to take care of yourself. Eat enough, because eat enough, try to sleep, try to be well hydrated, because we do know that all that stuff can affect, just your basic feelings about things. If you're dehydrated and hungry, you're not going to be thinking really straight about things.
Right. Self-care does not have to be take a vacation.
Right.
Like that. It doesn't have to be that to that extreme. It just be like
literally like eating enough.
Right. Take a shower. Make sure you're doing those things.
Yeah. Open the curtains. Let the light come in, so you're not sitting in darkness all the time. Curbing comparisons. So stop comparing yourself. Ask for help. Of course, if you need, some therapy. Ooh, that's what I was going to say before. So I went to this therapist, like, I can't remember if Exley was born or not, but I think he was. Anyway, I went to her and I was like, I was really going through a time where I was like yelling a lot. And I went to her and I was just like, I'm yelling all the time and I'm so like, whatever. My kids are so messed up because of me. And she's like, she looked at me and she was like, I feel like you think you're doing like permanent damage to your children when you yell at them. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like yeah. Like you yell at your kids, you ruin their brain chemistry. Like she was like, no, this is what we do. We get angry, we yell, we apologize. That's life. I was like, oh. She could have gotten more money from me if she didn't say that, because I was like, oh my God. It was such a revelation that I really stopped feeling so guilty. And I stopped yelling so much.
Oh.
Because I just wasn't as stressed.
Yeah.
When it's like, wait, I'm not doing any permanent damage. Like, I'm just living life. This is how we live life. And we're going to get through it together. And then you're going to yell less if you're less stressed.
Yeah, that's a great example of that cycle. You're stressed, so you're yelling. And now you're stressed out about the yelling, so you yell some more. And it becomes a cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the guilt. And then you're stressed because of the guilt. And like, it just becomes, this vicious cycle about it.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say is social media. What I started doing was unfollowing any account that made me feel anything. Except joy, like if I came across a post in my feed and it made me just feel any type of thing, nothing. And, people aren't doing it on purpose, but I would just unfollow. You can even unfollow without completely unfollowing. Like you can mute on Instagram. You can like mute posts. So you're not like unfriending somebody. If you don't want to do that and it looks weird, you can just mute it so you don't see it. And just clean up your feed and just make sure you're coming across all things that are just like make you smile and laugh. Like at this point, all I follow are comedians and dog channels.
Yeah.
And like you can cater it to however you want it to be.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think everybody should do that.
Yeah. Just next time you feel anything, just mute that account. I feel like it's really made a big difference.
Yeah, I bet it has.
Because we're going to scroll social media. That's just what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So then make it a positive place. And that's all.
That's awesome.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.